Worked in Gang Reduction Committee. I'm Councilmember Buscaino, and I'm joined by Ms. Martinez, Mr. Price, and Mr. Rue. Thank you for those joining us here and for those listening live on council audio. So colleagues, if I can direct your attention to today's agenda. I'd like to hold items 1 and 2 for discussion. I believe, actually, hold off. Mr. Blumenfield's motion will also hold. We have Mr. Blumenfield's staff here to speak on item number 8. So if we can hold on the desk item 1, 2, and 8 and take on consent unless you want to hear any of these items. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, colleagues. We'll take items 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on consent. Okay, hearing no objection, that'll be the order. We'll approve those items. Okay, so with that, let's take item number 1.
Good afternoon, John White.
In fact, you know what? I'm sorry, John. Can we take general public comment?
No cards.
Anyone here to speak on any items not on the agenda? Okay, we will close general public comment.
Very good. Item 1, City Engineer Report relative to the implementation of a sidewalk repair program, alternative materials pilot testing program.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Julie Souter with the Bureau of Engineering Sidewalk Repair Program. I'm here this afternoon to request authorization to establish a alternate materials pilot testing program, and this is for the sidewalk repair program. This is in response, in part, to a report back from Council instructing the program to issue an RFI and develop a list of alternative materials that can be used on the program.
Thank you, yes.
So I can go into more detail. We did issue an RFI. We had approximately 23 vendors and manufacturers respond to the RFI, and based on that, we've grouped them into 6 different categories: plastic sidewalk panels, rubberized material, cementatious pavers, energy generating panels, pervious concrete, and alternative Portland cement concrete. And based on this information, what we are proposing is to have a pilot program over the next few years to establish the durability and the performance of these materials. And at the end of the pilot program, or during the course of the pilot program, it is our ultimate goal to have these available for the sidewalk repair program. It is requested that we have $1.5 million authorized as part of our existing sidewalk repair program to be used for this pilot.
How much again?
$1.5 million.
Okay. 1.5 million. As you recall, colleagues, this was part of the direction we gave when we crafted the comprehensive sidewalk repair program. A number of our colleagues expressed interest in using alternative materials, and happy to see this moving forward. Do you think that 1.5 million is enough, and this is going to be used over the course of the next few years?
I think it's a good starting point for us. It's a good starting point for us, and what we are planning to do is report back to this committee and council on an annual basis. And I think that is a good opportunity for us to come back, and if we feel that we need additional funding, we can come back at that time. But it's a good start for us to get going. Wonderful.
And as far as the areas that the city will be using, different areas in this pilot program, in my understanding, can you just share with us primarily city facilities, adjacent to city
yes,
facilities?
Our criteria is city facilities, areas that have severe sidewalk damage, high pedestrian usage, and also the tree nexus, because a lot of the concerns was, being able to use alternative materials that would inhibit or work well with our, our tree population. It's fortunate or unfortunate, we do have a lot of sites that we have identified that would be definitely applicable for this pilot program throughout the entire city.
And then we're also waiting a BOE to put their plan forward. Do we have a timeline to when BOE plans on reporting to council on this progress?
We will report annually.
So it's annual? And is it possible to leverage other funding sources for this this project and looking at other materials, alternative materials?
Yeah, definitely. I know that in the overall for the program, we are looking to leverage opportunities with other departments, other programs, definitely looking for grant opportunities.
For example, DWP potentially can contribute to some of the
exactly.
installation on permeable sidewalks that allow for stormwater infiltration and others. Okay, colleagues, any questions on this item? Mr. Price?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your leadership on this. I know this is something you've been really pushing for a minute. And I'm glad to know this is going to be a citywide pilot effort. I'm especially interested to know, though, which sites in the 9th District you've identified. I don't need the answers now, but I'm assuming it sounds like you've already identified locations. You're not going to be soliciting locations from the council offices for this pilot. Is that correct?
Right. What we're doing is we have identified sites that are city facilities, and so we do have probably 2 to 3 sites per council districts, and they were just trying to match them up with, which is the better material to be testing in that particular location.
If you could let us know where those sites
absolutely.
are, I'd appreciate
Absolutely. We can follow back and kind of give you a list of where those locations will be tested.
When will you be able to get that back to us with that list?
Pretty quickly. We already have the
A week?
sites identified.
10 days? 2 weeks?
How about a couple weeks for us to
All right.
get that?
You got a deal.
Yeah, we have a list of ideas.
Right.
We might not have the specific material that we're
No,
going to
no, I
test
don't
at the
want material
particular
necessarily. I'm
location,
just
but
curious
at least
locations, yeah.
right, the locations we
Right.
definitely can get
All right.
back to you
Thank
on
you.
that.
I have a list, so if I can just get the sites that you're working on in my district, I have a list of areas that need attention. So I just want to make sure that our list matches yours,
Okay.
because we get the phone calls and we know our districts better than anyone else. So I just want to make sure that we're not that we're coordinating efforts so that we are getting to the areas that we feel are part of
Definitely.
the issue.
Right.
And I wanted to also ask you about the material. Do we know if this material attracts even more heat? I'm concerned because in the valley it gets so hot. I just want to make sure that the material that we're using is not a material that's creating even, making our sidewalks even hotter as people are waiting for the bus and they're happening to be underneath a bus shelter. I just want to make sure that these materials are not creating additional heat.
Okay.
I don't know if you can tell me that off the top of your head or not.
No, I
What
not
kind of
off
material
the
this is?
materials. Yeah, we can definitely look into the heat island aspect of the materials.
Do you know if the EIR is addressing the use of alternative materials?
It will be part of the discussion of the EIR, and we're closely working with our EIR team on this, so they're aware of our pilot testing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you can just get back to me on the materials and whether they cost additional,
The heat island
Heat.
effect? Sure.
item effect is a good one. And again, I can share my list with you as of today. Just make sure that we're on the same page.
Definitely.
Mr. Rue?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I really want to thank the department for all your work here, and this is a very good first step, and this is precisely what the chairman and the rest of the council members, and including myself, who introduced the motion about alternative materials, was getting to. And 23 responses for our RFIs? 22?
Yes, it was 23. We sent out over 30. and
That's
so-
tremendous.
Yeah, with all of the vendors and manufacturers, with all of the supporting documentation that helped us
Well-
create the pilot.
Big congratulations there. That's very exciting to hear. And, one question I had was tire waste. I believe there's about 650 tons collected in the city of LA, and I believe the city has a service agreement with Cal Recycle for the transport of these tires from our sanitation district yards to state-approved facilities. And as part of that agreement, I believe the vendor has committed to build a sustainable market infrastructure from the tire-derived materials. So my first question is Cal Recycle still a contractor for the service in the city of LA?
If they are an existing vendor with the city of LA, is that your, I'm sorry, is that
Yeah,
your,
because if they are, I wanted to make sure that you guys were in touch
okay.
with them to discuss the recycling and reuse of the waste tires.
Okay.
Oh, they didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry here.
Yeah.
So this is Kim Schultz. She's on the project team and did a lot of the outreach to our vendors and manufacturers.
Good morning, good afternoon, actually. So this company was not one of the 23 responders, but one of the things that we are considering with this program is evaluating it every year, so we're not just locked in to the vendors that responded the first time around. We haven't received any information from them, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't reach out or gather information and look at opportunities to work with them moving forward in the pilot.
They might already, maybe they didn't respond to the RFI, but they might, it's my understanding, they might still have a contract with sanitation. So maybe, and as part of their contract, they want to work on sustainable markets with the tire-derived products. Because the question I had was, I know one of the uses for recycled tires is plastic and rubber pavements. And I know that's one of the materials that you guys are talking about. And so have you guys maybe reached out to other jurisdictions like Santa Monica who have used alternative materials?
We have looked at some of Santa Monica's research because they did a pilot program a few years back, which had very telling results. So that has been a factor for us, and we're using that from a lessons learned standpoint. And I believe they even produced a document that was entitled Lessons Learned. So we are looking at existing programs that are out there. There are already some locations that have these alternative materials within the city that we're going to track and monitor what's already going on with those products and track it in relation to our program. So we already have some sites that we haven't even installed.
Okay.
So we are trying to go outside of just the material that was presented to us.
So piggybacking on Councilmember Martinez's question about like the heat island effect, have you guys already done an assessment, or will you be doing an assessment on the projected life cycles of each one of these products, as well as the pros and cons?
It's really important that we check on the status of all of these materials annually, and we've developed a list of criteria just tentatively for us to explore once we launch the program. And we are tracking the costs. We're looking at the initial installation costs, life cycle and maintenance costs, because some of these products may require maintenance to come out, the frequency, the cost, all of those factors. So we are going to be tracking it as a part of this program. We didn't have the urban heat island as a criteria initially, but it's a really valid point that we should be looking at. So moving forward, that is something that we can monitor once we launch this program.
Yeah, because my staff went out to Santa Monica as well, and there was some concerns both by Santa Monica, and my staff also saw about the plastic and rubber pavers. So I just want to make sure you have all this, compiled all this information before we even do a pilot. And I would advocate more for hybrid type materials than just plastic and rubber. So as long as you get all that information compiled for us and you report back to us, I know this is a pilot, so we'd be very interested in getting your results.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Rubin. Ms. Martinez?
Thank you, Kim.
You're good? Well, so Ms. Sauter, right?
Correct.
Well, this is our first meeting together as our new deputy city engineer. I understand Gary Lee Morris tasked you with implementing our comprehensive sidewalk repair program. I don't know if that's condolences or congratulations, but this is the first time, as you know, in 40 plus years that the city has embarked upon this this strategy of addressing our deplorable, embarrassing sidewalks. And I want to commend my colleagues here on this council in partnership with the Budget and Finance Committee that finally advanced a comprehensive sidewalk repair program that the city hasn't seen in 40 plus years. So really appreciate you taking on this role, and we look forward to fixing our sidewalks. And this item before us, it was really an effort from all council members that pitched in, and this, I remember Bob Blumenfield, our colleague, was always trying to push for looking at alternative materials as it relates to fixing our sidewalks. And, you know, not one material fits all in this case. And I'm happy with the presentation before us, looking at plastic sidewalk panels, rubber materials and pavers, different types of cement, permeable interlocking concrete pavers as well, energy generating panels, Again, this is looking at outside the box, and sometimes we ought to go beyond just using concrete. So looking forward to working with you and your entire team, and want to thank the Bureau for the hard work that's been put forward.
No, thank you very much and appreciate it. It's a 30-year program, and we're definitely going to continue to improve. And so, as we mentioned earlier, this is the kickoff of our pilot program, but we do see hopefully continuing all of this innovation and research as we go on for 30 years. So thank you.
Okay, so with that, any other questions, comments, concerns, colleagues? So we'll approve this item without objection. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you have a card on this? I'm sorry. I didn't submit a card for... Yes. So we have a representative from Mr. Blumenfield's office to speak on this item.
Great. Thank you. Jeff Jacobberger, Legislative Deputy for Councilmember Blumenfield. The council member would like to thank the Chair Buscaino and the other members of this committee for their attention to the issue of alternative sidewalk materials, and to thank the Bureau of Engineering for their report. He urges your support for BOE's recommendations. As you know, and as you mentioned, the use of alternative sidewalk materials has been a priority for Councilmember Blumenfield for some time. Back in 2014, he introduced a motion on this issue and appeared before this committee and demonstrated some materials. And 13 months ago, he seconded Councilmember Rue's motion on this subject. As a member of the Budget and Finance Committee, he pushed to have this item included in the comprehensive sidewalk program approved by Council last year. An alternative site materials pilot program will make Los Angeles a smarter and greener city and provide long-term benefits, including groundwater recharge and reduced stormwater flow into the LA River and other waterways, increased pedestrian safety and reduced liability costs, reduced maintenance costs, and preserving and enhancing our urban forest, which is especially important in the West Valley, the hottest part of the city, as well as all parts of the valley represented by other members here as well. Even with the tight city budget, it's important to fund this pilot program as part of the city's sidewalk program, as the short-term cost will yield long-term cost savings. And so on behalf of Councilmember Blumenfield, thanks again to the members of this committee for your support of alternative sidewalk materials, and respectfully ask for an aye vote on this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. So it appears that we have unanimous support on the item number 1, and we'll approve that without objection. Thank you. Okay.
Item 2.
Item 2.
CA report relative to options for accelerating and financing the city's sidewalk repair program.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm David.
David,
Haran.
how are you?
All right. I'm David Haran from the Office of the CAO. Before you have a CAO report requested by the Council on March 29th, 2016, regarding finance and delivery options for the sidewalk repair program. In summary, we've recommended or identified 4 different delivery options. 3 of them are very simple and things that you are used to. 1, you could simply provide additional funds above and beyond the required Willits settlement level to expedite sidewalk repair. 2, you could take advantage of every possible opportunity to leverage the sidewalk repair funds, which we've already started doing under your guidance, Mr. Chair, with the Sidewalk Incentive Program, and the Department of Public Works has been doing for a while with the Transportation Grant Program. The third item is we could issue debt using most likely revenue bonds to accelerate the sidewalk repair. However, it's important to note that this does not get us extra funds because we would have to pay interest. It does forward the ability to do the repairs to a sooner time frame, hopefully reducing the overall cost of repairs and liability in the future. And finally, the 4th option would be to use a public-private partnership, which is something unique and we've not done before. If the council wishes to explore this, we will need some time to think it through and to do some research and report back. And if you have any detailed questions on public-private partnerships, I have an expert here with me to help me with any questions, since we have done very few of them in our office.
Thank you. So have we taken a deep dive look into the sidewalk repair program by using a P3 model? And we made any projections on potential cost savings by using a P3 model?
When you say we,
As
I'm
far as-
assuming the
yeah.
staff?
Staff, right.
Yeah, we have not. We've done some thinking about how we might construct it or what it might look like. But my understanding from talking to our P3 experts is nothing like this has been done before, especially with sidewalks. So this would be going down a path that no one has done before. So it would take some. It would take some
I
consideration.
know during the debate and the input by all of our colleagues on the sidewalk repair program, it was important for us to move forward on a plan, but also expedite these repairs. And, we're saying it's a 30-year project, and I believe that people shouldn't wait 30 years to get their sidewalk repair program. So by using a P3 model, do you think we can expedite more repairs over the course of 30 years?
Well, let me turn that question over to our P3 expert.
Sure.
I will admit I am not that. So
Sure.
Mr. Corin Crawford from our office can actually
Crawford.
address that better.
Hello, good afternoon. Corin Crawford from the CIO's office. So when in looking at a P3 model for the sidewalk repair program, the kinds of things the ways in which we've leveraged prior examples, so to speak, or there's one program out of Pennsylvania that that hasn't done sidewalks, but they've applied this model to bridges. And these are bridges that don't earn any income or revenue. They are supported by the state's general fund. And so they've taken a look at how they can, instead of thinking about a P3 for one construction project or one asset, they've looked at it as a program to accelerate and maintain a whole variety of bridges, and I believe the bridges are sort of like in the hundreds, low hundreds of bridges. So there are some precedents that we can adapt to a program like this. But taking a little bit of a step back, when we think about public-private partnerships for this, one thing to keep in mind is that it's kind of it's more of a framework as opposed to a project itself. And so another really good example actually is recently the city approved an electric vehicle car sharing pilot program and structured as a P3. And in that, at the core of a P3, it's entering into an agreement with a private party to undertake either an asset or a program, and typically these types of programs involve some sort of upfront cost. So in the case of this electric vehicle car sharing program, you have electric vehicle infrastructure which tends to get installed on sidewalks or in parking garages, and upfront cost of the vehicles themselves. And then you operate the program and maintain the facilities over time. So if you adapt that general thinking to the sidewalk repair program, the ways in which that we've thought about that is we've taken a look at the way in which the program functions itself, accelerating the upfront construction of the program, and then a 20-year maintenance cycle associated with it. At a high level, we understand that this is a program that does, that when we look at how these types of deals have been structured in the past, it does warrant further study. And in terms of the benefits, the core benefits that are typically associated with a public-private partnership we would also look to those types of benefits to be brought to the city for the sidewalk repair program itself. So, expedited delivery, performance-based contract, so you enter into a contract with another person,
Right.
and any kind of payment obligation that the city would have would be subject to that party performing according to the terms of the contract itself. And then the third one would be, again, a nice adequate assessment of the types of risks that the city retains and that the city is transferred over. And all of this stuff, at the end of the day, is spelled out in a contract.
Mm-hmm.
And as contracts go, they have a general framework and form and basic terms associated with it. But then it's up to the two parties to customize those terms and to ask for what it wants and to get, and to give the give and take back and
So
forth.
part of those
throughout that.
negotiations would
Those are just all
entail
part of the
whether or not
negotiations.
the city can control where we prioritize the locations for repair and
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
or if the city be required to delegate those decisions about planting, pruning, removing street trees, right?
Yeah,
That will be all part of the negotiation
could all
if we
be
do
part of the
enter into a
negotiation, right.
public-private partnership.
it could all be part of the negotiation. I think one of the benefits of something like this is that it's so customizable. So you can start to think about, and again, there's a lot of work to be done internally to plan for what scope
Yeah.
we would want in something like this. But understanding that there's a direction on that scope, you can structure that into the agreement, to the arrangement, and work to execute on all of that.
This committee and the council, we value the work that our city workers do on a day in and day out here in the city of
Yeah.
Los Angeles, specifically within the Public Works family.
Absolutely.
Do you feel that with the huge network of sidewalks that need to be repaired, that we have an adequate workforce to address all those repairs?
That is a good question. I should probably turn that over
Yeah.
to David.
I think the answer to that question is how fast you want to repair them. Very fast. Right now, Street Services has
42.
Well, that's up to you. Right now, Street Services has 5 concrete crews dedicated to sidewalks.
Say that again?
Street Services has 5 concrete crews dedicated to sidewalks that you've provided through the budget. They also have a crew dedicated to sidewalk access ramps and a crew for bus pads. So they've got a lot of workers already. The question is, how much more do you want to do, and how fast
How
do you
many
want to do
people
it?
per crew? You said there's 5 crews.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Do you
I
know
don't
the
have that off
breakdown?
the top of my head.
All
I'll
right,
get
David,
back to you.
that's
It's quite a bit. But yeah, there's not enough to do them in a very short time frame, Councilmember Martinez. So I think unless you want to add more staff, we have to explore other options. Okay. Yes, you did. I remember.
So with that, with a P3, all public work projects in the city of Los Angeles are all a part of the project labor agreement. So we would have a unionized workforce if indeed we do enter into a public-private partnership. Is that my understanding?
That would be part of our report back in terms of the options that we could use. I think that would be very desirable for the city. It would probably come at a cost in the negotiations. I don't know what that would be yet.
I mean, just to elaborate on that, those are things that we tend to assume are going to be a part of and be accommodated in these types of arrangements. So in prior PTs that we've looked at, we just generally assume that whatever contractors that you're using, whatever type of labor, they adhere to the city's contracting and public benefits requirements. So that would certainly could be part of that.
Thank you, Corey. Mr. Price?
Thank you. Gentlemen, appreciate the work you've done on this, both the conventional side and the P3 side. It is significant. One of the things that we had talked about, as I recall, in terms of speeding things up, was the possibility of contracting some of this work out. Again, with all deference to the city family and the work crew that exists, as you suggested, to speed things up, we're going to have to come up with some other mechanism, either P3 or contracting out or a combination. Where are we on contracting out? And again, trying to spread a little love to small, medium-sized contractors who can do sidewalk work.
Good question, Councilmember. We are contracting out as well as using city staff. And Ms. Sauter here actually oversees a significant number of contractors who can do this kind of work. So it's really a function of money. The more money she has available to that, the more work she can do. But the Bureau of Engineering has prepared that mechanism as well, so you have options.
Well, like Ms. Martinez, I also have allocated some discretionary funds to kind of speed this process up, as you know.
Yes, you did.
And we just, we want to see it happen as fast as possible. Yeah. And so to the extent we can expand, accelerate, help facilitate, it's really a win-win to, I think, provide some opportunities for local businesses.
And to the extent that you have money you would like to give to or send to the Bureau of Engineering to do the work, they have contractors they can use to do it. So
some more money.
More money,
okay.
Yes.
Because you already got some of my money.
Correct.
So we value the work. I don't know, you colleagues, but in CD15, we do a lot of work with LACC, the Conservation Corps, and it's great to see providing them using all my office dollars with opportunities. These are disadvantaged workers who have come out, youth workers, those who working on their GED, completed their GED, and now are improving our infrastructure. But I think colleagues, we really need to really look at this opportunity here. And that's something when Mr. Cedillo was on this committee that we asked that this comprehensive sidewalk repair program includes these types of nonprofits that we're already using in our respective council districts, and to have a set aside of a certain percentage of disadvantaged workers and those that are involved in the reentry programs as well. So it's a win-win for all. Public works and gang reduction go together. If we're going to reduce gang violence, we have to provide these former gang members with jobs, and this is an opportunity to do so by improving our infrastructure throughout the city. I did my own sidewalk as well, personally.
Just video.
That's right.
I think he has a family member who helped him with
That's
his,
right, Uncle Sal.
or two.
That's right. Licensed contractor for the record.
One of the other things I'd like to remind the committee is one of the components of the sidewalk repair program is also going to be tree establishment, because we are, a lot of our sidewalks are in conflict with our street trees. Some of them are going to be coming down, and we need to reestablish those trees, maintain them, water them, and that's also an important component that can be dealt with by either city staff or contracts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I got a few questions about this. So how long has we been doing this for? About 3 months now, or 6 months now, or?
Doing the sidewalk repair program?
Yeah.
We've been doing it for almost 2 years, actually.
I mean, with the 50/50 program and the new rebate.
The Councilman's Incentive Program, I think it started at the beginning of the year.
So about 2.5 months.
About 2 months, yeah.
Because I know I have tremendous interest in my district to participate in that, and we keep on directing to the website and get them all connected.
Okay, that's good.
But how many requests or applications for the city rebate program have we seen to date?
Good question.
Good afternoon again, Julie Sauter, Bureau of Engineering. So that's a great question. The rebate program launched in December 1st. To date, we have 542 applications in, and they're all in various stages of getting vetted and reviewed for eligibility. Of those 542, 11 have actually resulted in permits being issued. So none have actually gotten to the point where we've issued actual money for the work being done. But
11% or 11?
11 permits have been issued. So that's kind of almost to the end of the finish line where they pull a permit and their contractor can get to work.
Is the 542, is it all residential or residential and commercial?
It's a blend, but I would say 99. I think there's only 14 that are in the commercial queue.
Is this where you guys expected that we would be at, or?
It's really unknown at the time we, launched the program in December, and I think we were just waiting to see what the interest was in the program.
So do you know, since there's only 11 permits pulled, is there any way for you to figure out what the average dollar amount for these requests are going to be? Because I know we're capping it at $2,000, right?
Correct. We can calculate that and get that to you, but in just looking at all of the applications, I would say most of them are hitting that cap, that $2,000 cap.
And what are we funded for the entire program?
The entire program
For this fiscal year.
Yeah, for this fiscal year.
For this fiscal year, it's 31 million.
31 million.
But for the rebate.
For the rebate, it was $6 million for the rebate.
Right.
6 million.
That entire.
Okay, so we're like about assuming all 542 go through, we're about at $1 million.
Yeah, if that.
If
Right
it's
now.
the entire 2,000.
Right. So what we do is, if we determine that the applicant is eligible, we'll just reserve the full dollar amount until we actually get, the revised estimate. So based on the applications and those that have been approved for eligibility, we're reserving a little over 600,000.
Okay.
And so that's in our queue right now, but the original budget for the rebate program was $6 million.
Anything we could do to help speed this up, speed up the process? I mean, 11 permits filed out of 542.
Other than, we are continually doing outreach and getting people to hit our sites and, doing more information on helping residents apply. A lot of it is also, incumbent on the applicant to, get their contractors and apply for the permits. It is a no-fee permit, so, yeah, we can definitely work on doing more outreach.
Yeah, if you have any ideas, let us
Sure.
know how we could help. And on outreach, so what kind of outreach have you done to notify the residential property owners of the program? I know we've done everything we can through our field deputies and newsletters, but most people we talk to still don't know about it. So what kind of outreach are you guys working on?
We've been going to neighborhood councils. We've been having training. Again, whenever council office are asking, we had set up initially a training session. We are looking definitely to putting that together again and sort of train the trainers for all of the neighborhood councils and council districts, flyers, and websites.
Okay. If you could focus on, because not everybody goes to neighborhood councils.
Correct.
So any other type of outreach you might think about, or any other way to streamline this process? I'm sure all the council members, every council member would be more than willing to
Definitely.
work with you on that. Another question I had was, before we had some motions on nonprofits, having some sort of sliding scale for nonprofits, or churches, or someone who could demonstrate a financial need. Where are we on that?
We are working on that report back, and that is on our queue to come back to council and give you a comprehensive report on the sliding scale.
Yeah, because there are several nonprofits in my district who are willing to embark on this, and they want to do fundraising and all sorts of stuff like that to pay for their portion, but they're still waiting on that. And last question, IRS code. So does the IRS code categorize these rebates as tax deductible or a gift?
My parents always wanted me to go to be a tax attorney, and I ended up being an engineer instead. We are requiring the W-9 to be submitted as part of eligibility. I would have to defer to a financial person to answer your question. Maybe David would have that, since I am an engineer.
We've worked with the Board of Public Works, and the Board of Public Works has determined that the rebates or incentives are taxable, so they're collecting the information from each applicant.
So I'm a little concerned about that because I guess it was I know this is a brand new program that we have, and but I didn't realize our incentive. So in a way, we're going to be paying the feds, right? Because if we have to withhold the taxes, or if the person who's getting this rebate has to pay taxes on it.
Well, let me check to be sure, but my understanding was not that we're withholding the taxes, but that the person who is getting the rebate would be responsible for any taxes on that as income. But if you want, Councilman, I can sit down with the Board of Public Works and the people that did the research there and get more detailed information for you.
Yeah, if there's, Mr. Chair, if there's any way we could try to ask the department to work with whoever you need to work with to make sure that we could try to make this tax exempt, because this was recently brought to my attention, and I'm a little concerned about that, because if we're rebating $2,000 and they have to pay anywhere from $200 to $400 to the federal government as a tax, because it's not a tax deduction, then in essence we're paying the feds, or we're giving them money for a program that we're trying to do. So if
Would be something that maybe we can call for a motion on in council to submit, and how would you handle that, John?
Well, committee members, as part of your action today, you could request a report back on that very issue.
Okay.
So next stop for this report is Budget and Finance. And the recommendation would be to whatever action you take, but also to request a report back on tax exemption.
to try to make it somehow tax deductible. I don't know how. or work.
I
Yeah.
I'm curious to find out, is this something your constituents are asking for tax deductible? This to
Well-
be tax deductible?
No, it's not tax. So it's just recently been brought up by various folks where they have to pay taxes. So some of the constituents might not want. I mean, it's not necessarily a $2,000 credit. It's not a 50-50 program. It's more like a 35, 40, 60 program. But then they have to pay the feds. So this is a program that we're trying to do to provide services to our constituents to maximize on street repair. But in a way, the feds are penalizing us. So.
Has this ever come up in the past? We've had the 50-50 program before.
And how's it different
How's
than the
it different?
DWP rebate?
Right.
Because I know the DWP has a rebate.
I
program.
think all those are worthy of a report in writing back.
You've
The way
never
this
heard of this before?
the way this is different, Councilmember, than the 50-50 program is in the past when we had that, residents would pay us half of the cost, and then we would go out and complete the repair.
Can we do that?
This way, the way it's being done now is we've reversed the flow of the money and reversed the responsibility for that completing the repair from us to them. So to address your concerns, I think we would have to rethink the incentive program and the structure of it, and I'd have to work with the Board of Public Works and city attorney and determine what would fit your concerns, and then report back.
Yeah, because my concern is twofold. I mean, we want to make sure that we maximize every dollar, and secondarily, paying the feds anything right now. I mean, even though it's not direct, it's indirect. I have some concerns.
Sure.
With everything that's going on these days.
Okay, right. Any other questions? You know, on the outreach of the rebate program, I'm right now on my phone and like went to the city website, BOE's website. I mean, really oh, here we go. New Safe Sidewalk LA pops up on the BOE's website for more information. But I do agree that I think all of our council offices should, plug the heck out of the website to promote the rebate. I know we're doing that on all levels as well. So appreciate that line of questioning.
And we welcome the department if they have any other ideas for outreach as well.
Okay, any other questions, concerns?
Will we get a report back on that?
Yeah, we'll do that. I'm in favor of getting a report back on looking at how the rebate program impacts tax exempts or when filing for one's taxes. tax
Or how to
returns.
make it tax deductible.
Okay, so that'll be,
How to make the rebate tax deductible.
how do we make the sidewalk rebate program tax deductible? We'll get a report back on that.
Understood.
So with that, we'll continue this item till further. And without objection, let's take our final item, item number 8.
Item 8 is a motion, Bloomingville-Buscaino, instructing the LAPD with the assistance of the Mayor's Office for Gang Reduction and Youth Development to report relative to gang activity in the West San Fernando Valley.
I think we're ready to move on this. Do want to recognize Mr. Blumenfield for his efforts in addressing some of the gang activity taking place in the West San Fernando Valley. We will move this forward, and I do see Harrietto here representing the police department. We'll give the direction to the police department to come before us on looking at some of the gang issues impacting the West San Fernando Valley, gang intervention and prevention efforts to do everything they can to curb gang violence in that specific area of our city. And part of that report back, Harry, would be to identify some of the gangs in the area, what type of crimes they've occurred, and what type of crimes that these gang members have been engaged in, and also to identify the city's gang and the grid information as well. And do know we have grid, the gang reduction and youth development intervention workers on the ground there in the West San Fernando Valley. We would also like to hear back from the police department on some of the challenges and successes as well that's taken place there in the West San Fernando Valley. We do know, colleagues, that public safety is at the forefront of what we do here in local government. If people don't feel safe, if gang members are taking over communities, then people are not going to want to live, raise their family, invest here in the city. So and I do know the police department has had amazing successes in curbing gang violence in the city of Los Angeles, and I believe it has a lot to do with building upon our relationships with the former gang members, the gang intervention work. I truly believe in it. As a senior lead officer, I do know that the department has stepped up its levels with working with the gang intervention workers on the ground. Nowhere in the country are you going to find a commanding officer working in collaboration with a former gang member to do everything they can to end gang violence. And, when there is a gang homicide or gang shooting, it's important to, one, identify, but also get the gang intervention worker on the phone so that there's no retaliation. That's what's going to help reduce the gang violence, not only in the city, but also specifically in the West San Fernando Valley. So that'll be the direction of this committee. If any questions, concerns on this item, colleagues? So we'll approve item 8 and without objection and send that to council to get the LAPD to come before this committee and look at the gang intervention efforts being done there at the West San Fernando Valley. So with that, we've concluded general public comment, and no items, no cards on this item before us? 8?
No cards.
Okay.
Chair,
So with that, this committee is now adjourned. Thank you so much.